All right, chat. I like that. That Iran stuff was pretty long, so I'll just take the China stuff and make it into its own separate stuff. So we're gonna get into that right now. All right. What is this? I don't even want to see it right now.
Gunfire at a Beijing hotel, a leaked
Beijing hotel
assassination plot,
gunfire,
and the
leaked
arrest of
assassination plot.
China's most
Holy
powerful
crap.
general. It sounds like a script for a movie,
China's
but
most powerful.
reports
This sounds like
suggest that it
fucking
is
some
the
like Arrow
reality
shit.
of what just happened inside the CCP. While the official state media claims that General Zhang was arrested for corruption, deep cover sources are telling a wild story of a failed coup attempt that Xi Jinping barely survived. It all started when China
Coup
announced that
attempt?
it's investigating its
Coup
number
d'etat?
one general, Zhang Yuzhao, and a member of his commission, Liu Jingli. Now, there is a military purge going on inside the CCP for the
Military
last few
purge.
years, but this is by far the most
Yeah, that's what I was
shocking
telling
move.
Cape. This is what I was telling Cape earlier, Chad. Like China is actually going through some pretty fucked shit. um, like they're actively, like their military command and like the civilians are actively trying to do coup d'états and shit. They be having like droughts and stuff, like really bad droughts. Their economy is actually not that good. That's why they came to a deal with us with the tariffs and everything. It's pretty bad, man.
Because
And that's why I'm confused as to how they could even afford. Like, where are they even getting this money to do all this, all this other bullshit that I was telling Cape about?
Zhang was basically the guy when it came to Chinese military. Technically speaking, Xi Jinping is the commander-in-chief, but Xi is not a military guy, he's a politician. Zhang was the one who was actually running the military day to day. He was the highest ranking operational general in China and
dude,
technically
the boy.
the number 2 guy when it comes to the
it.
Chinese military.
Hey, that
Now
number
on top
two,
of
dude,
this,
number
what
2
makes
guy.
this whole
That's
thing
the guy right
shocking
there.
is that
the
Zhang
real guy
wasn't
right there,
some
is what I'm
rival.
calling the
He
shot.
was Xi Jinping's guy. Their fathers fought together during the Chinese Civil War, and these two
Yeah,
have
so like
known
little
each other
bro.
their entire life. In fact, Zhang was supposed to
some
retire
movie
back in
shit.
2022, but when Xi Jinping took over for an unprecedented third term, he actually convinced Zhang to not go into retirement, and he made him his second in command when it came to the Chinese
Sounds like the
military,
plot's like
basically
Ip
the
Man 4,
Chinese
Jen.
Joint Chief of Staff. That's why the question now everyone is asking is that if Xi Jinping cannot even trust Zhang, who can?
Can you imagine that, chat? Was it like Ip Man 5 with Danny Yang? And this time Ip Man has to defeat the entire communist CCP China. And he has to fight, Mao Zedong, whatever this guy's name is. I don't even know. But that's
he
hilarious.
trust? Who is he gonna use to replace that position? Now, what makes this situation even more precarious is that Zhang isn't the first. He's not even the second.
Hawaiian
Xi
punch is
Jinping has
fire.
been systematically eliminating everyone at the top of China's military. Over the past few
Damn.
years, Xi Jinping has purged nearly everyone on
Minister of
China's Central
Defense.
Military Commission. Like I said, it's like the American version of
Disappeared.
Joint Chief of Staff.
What? He's just outright disappearing them. The vice chairman is gone. One just accused of leaking nuclear secrets to the United States. The other removed last year. Defense minister disappeared in 23. Joint staff chief under investigation. Political work boss axed too. That's crazy.
The highest
Oh.
military leadership body in the country. Just last year alone, Xi Jinping removed 8 generals, including the second general in the country, so the guy who was right below Zhang. Now, before this week, everyone was speculating that it was probably Zhang behind all the purges, not Xi Jinping himself. But now, Zhang himself is gone, and it makes you question what is happening, right? So let's look at one of the stories that kinda gives us some details as to what happened and why Zhang was suddenly removed from his post. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer here because this story sounds crazy. And the only reason I'm sharing it with you guys is because the author of the story, or the person who shared the story, well, they announced Zhang's arrest before Chinese officials actually announced it, which is kind of interesting. I don't think there was a big difference in time, but she was few hours ahead of the official announcement. And that's exactly why I want to share this story. I don't know how true this is, okay? So I'm going to put that out there before I even read it. All right, let's take a look. The story comes from Shang Yu, and she's a Chinese-Canadian human rights activist. According to her, on January 19th, so few days before the actual announcement was made public, a friend of hers that she identified as Mr. X, we'll just call him the informant. This informant informed her that Zhang Yu Zhao has been arrested and something major might have happened within the CCP. At the time, she was too busy to publish this call, but later down the line, she did publish the transcript of the...
I just can't take this serious. What do they got, like fucking Professor X in there? Yeah, they got Professor Chaos.
This phone conversation.
It's Butters
Mr. X,
on the other
who's
side.
our informant, says Zhang and Liu, that's the other guy who was part of the military commission, both of them were preparing to move against Xi Jinping on the evening of January 18th, 2026, Beijing time. That day, Xi Jinping was planning to stay at a hotel in western Beijing. In recent years, Xi has had no fixed residence. He changes locations every few days. Zhang and Liu plan to arrest Xi Jinping with the operation scheduled for the evening of January 18th. However, the plan was leaked 2 hours before the action. She was at the hotel that day. They believed it would be easier to capture him there since she often stays at the hotel and then moves to other locations. He rarely stays in one place for 2 consecutive nights. Online speculation later suggested that she deliberately used this as bait to draw Zhang out, and that interpretation may be correct or is partly correct. After receiving the tip-off 2 hours in advance, she immediately left the hotel and quietly arranged counter-arrest operations. Zhang's side did not know the information had already been leaked to Xi and proceeded as planned, dispatching advanced personnel. A gunfight broke out at the hotel between Zhang's people who had arrived already and forces arranged by Xi. 9 of Xi's personal security guards were killed, while dozens of Zhang's people were killed. This is when Shang Yu, who's the human rights activist, asked, where were Zhang's people at the time? Were they deployed in one location or stationed separately? The informant replies, that wasn't told to me, but the key issue is that Xi was staying there and the troops had also been deployed. Because Xi often stays at the hotel and suddenly moves elsewhere, it was hard to pin him down in one place. Informant goes on to say, all I know is that Xi learned about it 2 hours in advance and he immediately moved to arrest Zhang and Liu. Their family members were also all detained at the first opportunity. Then the question is, why plan something so big and not make arrangements for the family? The informant answers, Shang and Liu believed the operation would succeed, and whether or not they protected their families didn't really matter. If they had made arrangements in advance, it would have exposed the operation. Besides, Xi has already planted numerous informants around their families anyway. Now, it is a long conversation, so you can see the whole thing on your screen, or I'll link it down below, but I'm just going to now read the important parts. Later in the call, informant says, what I heard is that this incident badly frightened Xi. His mother and sister were informed, were also terrified. They are staying at Shenzhen guest house. Security measures were immediately stepped up and the entire guest house is now under lockdown with heavy guard outside. What drove Shang to rebel? Because as we know, this guy was pretty close with Xi Jinping. He was, the informant answers, he was likely forced into it. Xi Jinping has been continuously purging people. No one can remain genuinely loyal to him anymore. So this becomes a vicious cycle. Xi is extremely suspicious and narrow-minded, trusting no one. People around him live in constant fear, and more fearful they are, the more cautious they become. The more cautious they appear, the more abnormal they seem, and the easier it is for something to go wrong. Moreover, the CCP system is essentially a black box, so everyone is constantly scheming against and guarding against one another. Now that part is true. The politics of China is a lot more secretive than pretty much any other country in the world, any other open country, right? I'm sure North Korea is even more secretive, but China is on another level. Russia doesn't even come close to it. That's why we don't know if this story is true or not, or how much of this is true, but it does sound really dramatic. Now, another interesting thing they talk about is the wording of the announcement that the Chinese government put out. And we'll listen to that in just a second. But another interesting thing is also the time between the announcement and the arrest. Or I guess the other way around, the time between the arrest and the announcement. Because previously, when they carried out similar purges last year, usually CCP took months to announce the arrest. There were rumors online and they would go on for months before we would get an official announcement. This time, it seems like the announcement came just days after the actual arrest or actual investigation began. So yeah, now let's take a listen to the announcement.
Member of the
Oh man,
Politburo.
Chad, that's just something that I can't get over. Like whenever something happens now, like the government or like news medias or governments, whatever, like officials, they just immediately go to Twitter. Just post it on Twitter first. Like everybody gets the news from Twitter. It's just Twitter.
Of the CPC Central Committee, Zhang Yuxia, Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Member of the Central Military Commission, Joint Staff Department of the Central Military Commission, Chief of the Joint Staff Department, Liu Zhenli, is suspected of serious violations of discipline and law. Upon deliberation by the CPC Central Committee, it has been decided to place Zhang Yuxia and Liu Zhenli under investigation.
Of course.
Now, the Chinese official
yeah,
statement.
and that's the thing, chat. If you're under investigation from the CCP, you're not under investigation. You're going to fucking jail, dude, because they have like a 1000% conviction rate, just like Korea and all those other Asian countries.
Accuses Zhang of seriously violating political discipline, organizational discipline, discipline of honesty, clean governance, mass discipline, and work discipline. It sounds like a lot of discipline, so let me simplify it for you. That's basically CCP language for he did something that Xi Jinping didn't like, and she is not going to tell us what he did. Then few days after this arrest announcement, Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell report. They said that Zhang was allegedly arrested for leaking Chinese nuclear secrets to the CIA. Definitely a huge story, so let's look at it. According to the report, this information comes from a briefing that was attended by China's highest-ranking military officers. This briefing actually took place before the public announcement that we saw earlier. In this briefing, CCP told everyone attending that Zhang was being investigated for forming political cliques, which is basically saying that he was trying to get people to support his cause so he could do something. Basically trying to form a coalition inside the CCP, and according to the officials, major officials, this undermines party unity and it's against the CCP law. On top of that, he was also being investigated for abusing his authority within the top military body of the CCP, which is known as the
Damn, chat, a little side note. It's so fucking cold out here. My lips are just like constantly chapped, so I keep biting them. Fuck, dude.
Central Military Commission. They basically give out contracts. If they need something built or if they need to hire something, make a factory, this body decides who gets the contract, and they're basically accusing him of corruption, maybe just giving the contracts to his family or people who are paying it. But on top of all this, the most shocking deal was, of course, in this meeting, everyone was told that Zhang had leaked core technical data on China's nuclear weapons to the US. This is the news that got everyone talking about this exclusive report that the Wall Street Journal got. Now, here's why I think this report, or at least this part of the report, is probably not true. Because think about it. Imagine you're a PLA general who's sitting in this briefing, and you just heard that the top military general in the country, Xi Jinping's childhood friend, was arrested. And now you're being told that he was a CIA spy. Are you going to tell that to a Western publication? I'm guessing not. I'm guessing no one's going to leak that. What's more likely, not just according to me, according to a lot more people who watch China a lot closely, that this was probably an authorized leak. Governments do this all the time, and they do it everywhere.
God damn, this generation is retarded. Why they do math like that?
Now, it seems CCP's goal with this leak was just to control the narrative overseas. Because it seems Chinese state media, the newspapers that the Chinese people actually read, well, that media is just listing the 5 crimes that we already covered. He was just not following the discipline of the party. That's what they are talking about. They don't even mention the nuclear secrets, or they don't even mention the CIA. That detail only appeared in foreign media. If Zhang was really selling nuclear secrets to
The
America.
fuck?
Wouldn't that be the headline inside China?
Just say seven.
Wouldn't the
100%.
CCP want to
Just do
humiliate him
75 times
domestically?
2 and
The
add a
fact
zero,
that they're
nigga.
keeping the CIA's story for foreign audiences
75
only
times 2
suggests
is
that it's a
150, add a
propaganda
0,
designed to
1500.
make Zhang look like a traitor for everyone overseas
Oh.
and likely deflect the attention from what actually happened.
Exactly what I said at the beginning, chat. Like that sounds too convenient. Like that literally sounds like the plot of like the fucking Arrow, like the Green Arrow from fucking CW. Like the girl who fucking Oliver met on the island. Oh yeah, my father fucking what was his name? Lao Fang. Fucking he was actually a disgraced war general that the government like, you know, used as a scapegoat, and they fucking exiled him and sent him to this island as punishment, blah blah blah. Literally fucking sounds like a movie plotline, dude.
Maybe some coup or something like that did happen.
These guys are not
and
slick.
they don't want
CCP is
foreign
not
parties
slick,
looking
dude.
into that. Now,
We
this
watched
may
The
not
Arrow, bro.
entirely be over, because this Zhang guy did have a lot of people who supported him, civilians and, of course, people in the military. And I'm sure Xi Jinping would want to basically, you know, take care of everyone who's not loyal to Xi. Just
Yeah, we
recently,
can't
we
take
saw
care of me,
CCP
bro.
increase security near Tiananmen Square.
Like, see,
Basically,
try.
when they announced that he was arrested, there were police officers and barricades being put up around the main square, and everything was on high alert. I'm guessing they were expecting some people to protest or get mad, because I don't know if you guys remember, if you have seen over Tiananmen Square, you would know that a lot of the protests back in 1989 started
said
when
if
one
that
of the more
water is
popular
wet.
leaders of the CCP died.
What?
The person who basically wanted to help the young generation and open
Nah,
up
we
the
get off
party
to
and the
that.
country a lot more and quicker. And when he died, it kind of seems like the young people lost all hope of the country getting better for them.
Yeah, they were tight.
And that's why they started protesting
They were
at
really
Tiananmen
tight.
Square. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you guys go check it out. But clearly, this story is not over. Investigation is still ongoing. Zhang Yuzhao
If
is
that
not
water
removed
is
from the
wet-
website, even though they have made the announcement about the investigation,
Hey,
meaning
yo.
his
Oh,
picture and
she's
his name
trolling.
is still
Oh,
part
yeah,
of the
she's
CCP
trolling.
website, which is kind of rare,
Shorty
at
said
least
if
based on
that
the
water
reports
is
I'm
wet,
seeing.
that's how you know that
So
there's
it
gators in there.
seems maybe
Hey, yo.
maybe
Wait,
something could
she
happen.
trolling.
So be sure to hit the
Hey, yo.
subscribe button down below. My name is
That
Sam,
water
and I'll
is
catch you
wet.
guys in the next video.
Shit, you
One of the
Oh man, yeah, that's crazy. It's been a while since I had an update from you know, good old China. But yeah, I'm not surprised that it's going down like that. It's like probably like what, within like the last 4 years, probably like the 5th coup d'etat that I've heard what's going on in China. Oh man. Hopefully we get like another update on that or some chat. But yeah, I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time. Again, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe on Business Basics. You know, he makes a lot of good stuff. And you know, when you're done, if you got some some spare change, some not spare change, but some spare time, good old chap, you know, hit like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, Donny. Till next time, mate.